In this video, we're going to be looking at direct and inverse proportion. Now, there's a variety of ways that this can be asked. We'll have different types of direct proportion questions and loads of different types of inverse proportion questions. What I'm going to do is try to cover all of them in just one video. Let's see how it goes. To start off with, we'll look at some direct proportion questions. The simplest possibility is the question could say D is proportional to E, and that sign there is the proportion sign. It could also say D is proportional to E squared, and there's many more ways they can ask this. They could even go for E cubed, square root of E, E to the power 4, and it goes on, but they'll all follow the same format. Let's now look at some inverse proportion types. The simplest one is D is inversely proportional to E. So when we have inverse proportion, the only difference is it's going to be 1 over your variable. So in this case, 1 over E. Let's also do D is inversely proportional to the square root of E. And that's how this one would look. And there we have 4 different types. Of course, there's many more, but we'll just look at these 4 types. All the others will follow the same sort of format in terms of working out. So for each type we've done here, let's try a question. So in the exam, you won't be asked on all the types. The question will ask you on only one of these types, and you'll have to figure out which one they're asking for. And the question will usually be worded, so you have to get out the numbers you need from your paragraph. The first mark will be simply for writing the correct proportion sign. And our next step is going to be to turn that proportion sign into an equal sign. And when we do that, we need to times the right-hand side by K. So in our first example, we've got D is proportional to E. And when we turn it to an equal sign, it's going to be D equals KE. And in the next one, we're going to write D equals K times E squared. And in the inverse proportion types, we're going to times the right-hand side by K also. And that puts the K on the top. Remember, when you're timesing a fraction, you always times it to the top only. Now, in the question for all of these types, it's going to give you a set of values for D and E. And you'll put those values in to help solve what K is. So looking at the first one, we need to fill in that D value and the E value. And of course, that will be in your question, those values, allowing us to solve what K is. And then once you've got your K value, you've got an equation without the unknown K. So then you'll be able to use your equation to work out what the question wants you to work out. Let's see how that works. So here, for each of these types of questions, I've written down a set of D and E values which would have been in the question. And for each one, we're going to put them in to try to work out that unknown K. So in the first one, we're going to replace the D with 10 and the E with 5. And dividing both sides by 5, you'll get 2 equals K. And now you know K is 2, you can rewrite your equation without K in there. And you get D equals 2E. So let's now look at the second one. And if you do your working out, you get K equals 3. Now, I didn't really go through the algebra there. I'm assuming that your algebra is strong. And if it's not quite there yet, just go back and watch the videos on algebra. And once you've got your K value, you should write the equation without the K in there. So it would be D equals 3E squared. Let's look at the next one now. Multiply both sides by 4. And we'll get K to be 24. So just rewrite that equation without that K value in. Now you've got yourself an equation that you can use. Let's look at that fourth type. And again, we can write the equation without K in there. Now in each case, the question usually wants you to work out something. It might give you a D value and ask you to work out the E value, or it might give you an E value to work out the D value. And in all cases, since you've worked out the K value now, you can just go ahead and use the equations because there's no unknown K anymore. So in each of these 4 cases, let's put a potential question they might ask. In the first one, they've told us that E is 15 and they want us to work out what D is. So since we've done the first part of the question and worked out the equation without K, we can just throw that value of 15 in. And solving that gives you that D is 30. So let me just go over what we did in that first type. So first we wrote the proportion statement, D is proportional to E, and that will be told in the question. Next step, we turned it into an equation and we times the right hand side by k. So it became d equals ke. Finally, we put in the set of values they gave us in the question to help us solve what k was. And we got k is 2. Then we had a full equation without the unknown k. We had d equals 2e. And finally, the question told us an e value and wanted us to work out the corresponding d value. And we just threw that e value in and worked it out. Now remember, in most questions, they're not going to tell you these values in this nice set out way. It's going to be in a wordy question. You have to draw out the numbers from the sentence. Now let's go ahead and do the same for the other 3 examples. In the second one, we have d equals 75. Let's go ahead and work out what e is. Divide both sides by 3 and we square root both sides. So e is the square root of 25. So we have e equals 5. And of course, it could also be minus 5 as well. So let's look at the third type. And here we're trying to work out the d value. And we know that e is 2. And that one is straightforward. We just have d equals 12. And in the last one, we've been given the e value and we need to work out the d value. And there we've done that one as well. Now in this video, I went through all 4 types. And of course, remember the question is only going to ask for one type. You just need to figure which type it is and write the correct statements. So a quick recap. You'll get 1 mark for writing the correct proportionality statement. Then you'll turn it into an equation by timesing the right hand side by k. Now remember, to solve k, you need that set of values. And that's always in the question. So you just need to find that. Then you'll solve k and you'll probably get another mark for that, depending on the mark scheme. And the last step will be to work out what the question asks you to do by filling in your known equation and solving. Just remember to show all parts you're working out because you do get marks for it. You'll get a mark for that proportionality statement. You'll get a mark for rewriting your equation once you worked out k without k in it. And these are easy marks, so don't miss out on them. Let's look at an example now of a question from an exam. So this question says, velocity is proportional to the square of time t. At time t equals 10, the velocity v is 400. Now what does the question want? It says, find v when t is 5. So the first step, we need to write that proportionality statement because that gives us that easy 1 mark. Now this was a direct proportion type. It didn't say inverse anywhere, so we know it was a direct proportion type. So it'll just be v, proportion sign, and the square of t. And that's your 1 easy mark. Next step, we'll turn it into equal sign, times the right hand side by k, don't forget. Next step, we need to work out what k is. So we need to look for that set of values, and it'll be in your question somewhere. And remember, it said when t equals 10, v equals 400. So let's go ahead and throw that in. And we've worked out that k equals 4. So we'll now write the equation without k in there. And the last part of the question says, work out what v is when t equals 5. So put t in as 5, and you'll get v equals 100. And there you have it. I hope you found that video useful. Support us by liking, subscribing, and share this with your friends. And if you still got some more questions on anything, drop a post on our forum at examqa.com where you'll find your questions answered.